Hello, Instagram. Today is another IELTS masterclass video. So I'm going to be joined today again by Omid from Saint IELTS. And today we're going to be looking at IELTS speaking part 2. So I think IELTS speaking part 2 is probably the part of the IELTS speaking exam that people get really worried about. I'm just going to invite Omid into the video, if I can remember. Yeah, so IELTS part 2, a very challenging part of the exam. You know, you have to talk on
Hey,
your own
Sarah.
for up to 2 minutes. Hello, Omid.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
It's a little hard to hear you, Omid.
Oh,
Is there
really?
any way you can turn up your volume?
Let me try. Is it better now?
Maybe it's my phone. It could be me. Try again?
Is it better now?
Yeah, it was my phone.
Okay.
Cool. So today, IELTS speaking part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the enthusiasm, Omid.
It's amazing. Speaking is
Mm.
amazing.
Mm. So you've
Yeah.
taken IELTS a couple of times. What was it like for you in the exam when you took the speaking and you did part 2?
I'm sorry, I lost your signal for a second. Could you please repeat again?
Mm. So in your experience, what was part 2 of the speaking test like?
Oh, part
Oh,
two.
Omid. Yeah.
It was not much of a difference in comparison to other parts because when you're under the pressure of the exam, you do not feel anything genuinely, it goes all the same. It's a feel of numbness, let's say, when you are in that room. So
Omid, I think
I'm
you've
bad
got a
on.
funny connection to you today. Your video is frozen and I have the little kind of circle going round and round on your screen.
Uh, yes, it's probably my connection, and unfortunately, I can do nothing about it right now.
Okay. All right. So we can continue for a little bit. It's a little bit hard to hear you, but let's try. And if not, we might have to stop and start again another day because you keep freezing.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so in your experience then, in that IELTS exam, what's it like when you get to speaking part 2?
Well, speaking part two is um, it's a monologue basically. You're supposed to talk about a topic for a 2 second, ideally. Um, but in my experience, I didn't have any um, feeling in terms of difference, in comparison to other parts of the speaking test. It's all the same when you're under the pressure of the exam, when you're in that room. Uh, you basically do not feel anything but stress. So there isn't much of a difference between speaking parts. So yeah.
And so we've actually got a request to join us right now from someone else. And
Yeah,
it's
fantastic.
okay, but I think it would be really good if we could do our demonstration first because we were going to do a role play of part 2. And I think it would be good to do that first. And then maybe we can kind of open up the live video after that.
Or
Okay.
maybe we can let this friend And because you know me, I have stress doing the speaking part too.
You do, but I also have a deadline of time on it, and I
Okay,
can't
sure,
be
sure,
here
sure.
all afternoon. So I think
Okay,
in terms of kind of helping other people, let's do a role play first, and then maybe
okay,
we can have a few minutes of discussion together
okay,
afterwards. Okay.
okay.
So in English, I'm not sure what your actual name is. That's totally fine. But we're just going to spend a few minutes talking about part two, and then I'm going to let you into the meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
See you
So
soon in
Omid,
English.
I have a part two question for you. Do you have a part two question for me?
We can go through the same question.
Okay. All right. So do you want me to go first,
Uh,
or do
in
you want
terms
to
of
go first?
asking question or in terms of answering,
Either, whichever.
I would rather to, um, you know, it's you go first. Yeah, sure.
Me go first to ask, or me go first
Yeah,
to answer?
to ask. Yeah.
To ask. Okay. So
Yeah.
Omid has already seen this question. I emailed this question to Omid yesterday.
Yeah.
Omid, did you prepare your notes already?
To be honest with you, just I spent 1 minute just before we
Mm-hmm.
start our live. I made some notes, but um, I tried not to prepare it myself. So it's going
Okay.
to be like the first time.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to read the question aloud so that people who are watching know what the question is. So the
Mm-hmm.
question, which is taken from IELTS Liz, is describe a piece of art you like. You should say what the work of art is, when you first saw it, what you know about it, and explain why you like it.
Sure.
Okay, Omid?
Well, yeah. My first work of art that I really admire is the painting. Is a painting called Mona Lisa, and I don't remember. I don't have a clear recollection about when I first saw that painting. It's since I remember my consciousness, I've been familiar with this painting. And I know that this is an artwork by famous Leonardo da Vinci, not Leonardo DiCaprio, and and I've heard a couple of rumors about this piece of artwork. Some say that this was genuinely a self-portrait of Leonardo da Vinci himself, and then he gradually altered the portrait into a lady's shape, you know. And another mystery that I've heard of is that this portrait it represents a lover of Leonardo. So, you know, either way, it's so mysterious, and this mystery is one of the main reasons that I like and admire this work. You know, been um, it's been a source of inspiration for many artists uh, through years and centuries, and it's truly a one of a kind artworks that represents the style of its era, which was Leonardo da Vinci's era. Yeah, that's what I would like to share with you about my piece of favorite art.
you. So you answered all of the points. You talked about all of the points in the question. For you, how challenging was this question? Because not everybody likes art. Not everybody is really into art or goes to art galleries and stuff like that. So how easy or difficult did you find this topic?
It was easy for me because I'm an art person. You see that? It's my painting kind of.
Okay, cool.
So it was easy for me. But in terms of choosing a topic, finding a topic to talk about, but in terms of the nature of the task, which is a monologue, no difference. It's always challenging doing it in part two.
It is all. Okay, cool. So are you going to give me the same question or do you have a different question for me on
Uh, I'll go with the same question, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to also talk about a piece about them. So last November, I went to London with my boyfriend and we visited the Tate Modern, which is one of London's biggest art galleries. As the name suggests, it's an art gallery that specializes in modern art. And some of the exhibitions you have to pay, but some of them are free. And of course, we went to the free ones. And this particular art gallery is in a big, old kind of factory place. And on the ground floor, they have a very big, like, warehouse space. And when we went, they had these little kind of balloons that had motors inside. And the motors were going, making the balloons go up and down and kind of bouncing along the ceiling. And it was a really interesting artwork. Now, I think the point the artist was trying to make was something to do with the connection between machines and our natural environment, because all of these little balloons look a bit like fish or octopus or some kind of really strange sea creature. So I think the artist was trying to kind of draw a parallel between the kind of very human world, the mechanical world, and the more, I don't know, maybe not more beautiful, but the more natural kind of environment. And I really liked this artwork. I thought it was really unusual. I'm not a big one for going to art galleries because I tend to find them a little bit formal. But this one was nice because you could lie on the floor and look at the balloons going up and down. And there were kids running around. And it was a nice kind of informal atmosphere. I would have liked to have seen more of the art gallery, but my boyfriend has a very short attention span when it comes to these things. And in fact, we left after about 15 minutes of looking at the balloons. But it was a really interesting and informative time spent in the art gallery.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed that experience of yours.
Why, Omid?
Because your speech was so engaging and I could feel the excitement in your tone. You managed to provide a you know your listener would feel some sort of connection with your experience. And also, you've covered all the requirements of the task, which was amazing. And also, it was a genuine and one of a kind of experience. I've never heard of such an exhibition, so it's really interesting. Yeah.
So, Omid, if you were going to give one tip to people who are preparing for IELTS, one tip about how they can work on IELTS speaking part 2, what would you say to them?
I would say that use that 1 second because you always have you are always given 1 second before
1
you
minute.
start your
1 minute, not 1 second.
sorry 1 second 1 minute, yeah, to prepare yourself to read the question. Try to use that 1 minute effectively and efficiently. It's really important to provide to organize your mind and to provide a fully covered speech.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. That minute is really important. You don't get minutes like that in a Cambridge exam. You don't
Yeah.
have any time to prepare. So working on, and a lot of people don't do this very well, but practicing how to prepare your talk is
Yeah.
really, really important. I completely agree.
Yeah.
And if I was to give one tip, it would be practice IELTS speaking part 2 every day with a smartphone.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's the one bit of the exam that you are in control of. You can't, you know, you don't know what the examiner will be like. You don't know how they will handle the discussion. But the monologue, you can control. And the more you practice, the more able you are going to be to control it. So practice, 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 practice every day, every day, every day, and it will get better over time. You cannot practice too much.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to have a look, see if in English wants to join us now. He's still around. We have had a chat before. He's really cool. He's an Indian teacher based in India.
Oh,
So we'll give
fantastic.
him a second or two to see if he comes along. Mm. And Omid, if you had another tip for people who are preparing for part 2, what would you say? What else did you do when you were?
I would like to remain with my first tip, and I'm going to share with you my own experience. You know, I took the IELTS test 2 times. First time I didn't use that 1 minute. I just jumped into um, the speech, but that wasn't very successful. But uh, in the second experience, I used that 1 minute of organization. Uh, it was really helpful. I could,
Mm.
it helps you to settle down, to get relaxed. Uh, Although it's just 1 minute, but in the circumstances of the exam, it happens to appear so precious, so long, actually. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, I think learning how to prepare for those monologues is really, really important. And I think also we've talked about this in the speaking club, is looking for little ways to be extending your vocabulary and grammar. And we've also talked about what you can do if you think you've spoken enough and then you stop talking and the examiner just waits for you to say something else. And we talked about kind of having little grammar points that you can kind of add at the end. So, for example, you can say things like, oh, if I could go back to that art gallery again, I would love to go and see blah, 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 blah. If I could go to Paris and look at the Mona Lisa, I would love to do that because I've never seen it in my own life, kind of thing. And having just a few backup structures that you can use if you haven't quite taken advantage of all of the time available.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
As for the as for my version of this question, if I could if I could go and visit Mona Lisa in person, I would take a self I would take a selfie with that photo.
I think that would be a great thing to do in front of the Mona Lisa, Omid. Cool. So I think in English has had to go and do something else. And I've had a message saying that he can't join us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone watching, if you have questions about IELTS speaking, you're welcome to ask either me or Omid. You can find Omid at Saint IELTS. He's a really great source of information about IELTS, and I highly recommend speaking to him because he's got that insider experience of the exam.
Thank you. Yeah, you are always welcome to ask. And Sarah runs a speaking club, which is really amazing. I really enjoy being a part of it, being a member of it, and it's really useful. It's really helpful, and Sarah is amazing in managing all these um, courses. I really recommend joining that speaking club if you find any difficulties with your English, even if you're an advanced student, because Sorry is really good at teaching advanced students.
I like teaching advanced students. Cool. So I think in 2 weeks' time we might look at IELTS speaking part 3, the discussion questions, because they can be a little bit challenging. And Omid, I'll catch up with you really, really soon.
Sure. See you soon.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.